All right, so we've tackled the Liberals. Let's take a look at their direct opposition, the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party is currently led by a guy named Andrew Scheer, who's all about helping you get ahead. It is all over their website. It's kind of an annoying slogan, but whatever. He wrote a letter addressing voters and published it on his website with the opening statement, "This election isn't about me or even about Justin Trudeau, it's about you." But then goes on to tear down Trudeau during the entire thing. It pretty much just seems like his entire platform is just undoing what Trudeau has done and stepping up where Trudeau has failed, just saying about how he can do it better. It's not the most original campaign strategy, but he's pretty much the only representative on the right side, so he doesn't have much competition for getting right-wing voters. He is promising to cut taxes, create jobs, and fight climate change. His plan for the taxes and jobs sound legit enough, but like I said, anyone can promise anything, and it depends on what you follow through on. I am questioning the climate change stance because it's just so contradictory. The Conservatives have presented a pretty attractive plan called A Cleaner and Greener Natural Environment that has some good ideas, like taking real action against single-use plastic by improving recycling infrastructure and reducing excessive packaging, implementing a ban on exporting our plastic waste to other countries for disposal, and also reinstating certain environmental protection funds. But he's also planning on cutting the carbon tax, a tax that was meant to help lower fossil fuel consumption, and he's going full speed ahead with the Trans Mountain Pipeline project, a project designated for the transportation of oil, a fossil fuel contributing to the climate change. Scheer has also been tossed into the spotlight for his homophobic and pro-life views. In a video from 2005 released by the Liberal Party this election, Scheer is seen speaking against the legalization of gay marriage in Canada, as he believes man is supposed to be with women and no one else. The Conservatives are typically a secular religious party, but it's 2019, I don't know, maybe kind of like adapt. The Conservatives publicly responded to a video on Twitter calling out other members of the Liberal Party who had publicly shared identical views. The public, however, was quick to respond on social media, stating that the Conservatives had lost their vote because of their method of retaliation. Instead of calling out people with less responsibility to the public, Scheer should have apologized and commented on the issue himself. He has also admitted that he will always vote in favor for pro-life legislation, which is a risky stand to publicize given the dynamic of today's voting population. Scheer has commented on more than one occasion about how great the country was when Harper was in charge. A lot of his ideas and promises are old policies that Harper actually had in place. One example is the public transit rebate that's supposed to motivate people to use public transportation more. When Stephen Harper did it, they didn't really see a change in the number of people who were using public transportation. So it just kind of seems weird to be adopting failed plans, but to each their own. Stephen Harper was the leader of the Conservative Party when it was in power for nearly a decade. He was first elected in 2006 as a minority government, and then again in 2008 after calling for an election to ensure that Canada had a strong economic leader during the economic crisis of the American housing market collapse. This again was another minority government, as he did not win the majority of the seats in the House of Commons. It was during this term that he decided to shut down the government, only to avoid a vote of non-confidence after the three opposing parties, who collectively held the majority of the seats, started investigating scandals involving the Conservative Party members. Like, he knew that they would get him out of power, so he just shut down the government instead. I don't know, that's a little extreme. Now, what I have found with our government is that it pretty much just swings as a pendulum back and forth between Conservatives and Liberals. People will just get so fed up with how the Liberals ran it that they want the complete opposite and they go for the Conservatives. And back and forth it goes. It's been 4 years since Harper was in power, and he was in power for a while, and if you guys don't remember, most of the people hated the Conservatives because of Harper. So I just want to read a little excerpt about Stephen Harper from The Boiling Frog. It is a political science book about how complacency and ignorance created our leadership crisis and what we can do about it. So a few notable things about Stephen Harper. He reversed the investment in Canada's highest tech programs, reverting the country to a resource-driven economy at the time when oil and other commodity prices hit all-time lows. He reneged on climate change initiatives to which Canada had committed to. Prior to his second election, his party engaged in robocalls to opposition voters, giving incorrect instruction on voting booths. So basically an automatic message would call people who had pledged to vote for the opposing parties and give them wrong information about where the booths were and what time they were and everything. He spent $500 million of taxpayer money on pre-election advertisements for his government. He muzzled scientists on climate change and illegally spied on environmental and Indigenous activists. So, like, he doesn't really have a good track record, and I just don't think that the Conservative Party is the most trustworthy party, and Andrew Scheer isn't really doing anything to instill more confidence by completely following in the footsteps of Harper and only just tearing down Trudeau. But that's it. If you are interested in someone who is the polar opposite of Trudeau, then I guess Andrew Scheer is your guy. But check out the other parties too, because there, there's other options.